Hello and welcome back. In this lecture we will go over Chapter 30, Nutrition, Feeding, and Digestion. In this lecture we will cover some digestion basics. So open up your snack of choice and let's bite in. We have talked about metabolic rate in the last lecture and defined it as the rate of energy consumption. But it can also be defined as the amount of energy an animal converts to heat per day. There are three types of food molecules that are in our diets: lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins. Lipids have about 9.4 kilocalories per gram, while carbs are 4.1 and protein is 4.5. Lipids tend to have the most calories over the other two food molecules. Most energy is stored in lipids. However, animals also store energy as glycogen, which is a carbohydrate with water bound to the molecules. Glycogen can be broken down into glucose, which is then used by the brain and for anaerobic glycolysis. In our diets, we need essential nutrients and essential amino acids. Essential nutrients are required, but cannot be synthesized by the animal. Essential amino acids are the amino acids that cannot be synthesized by the animal and must come from food. Humans have 8 to 9 essential amino acids that we require in our diets. Protein scientists, yes, that is a real occupation, can't seem to come to a consensus if it's 8 or 9 essential amino acids. Fun fact, by eating tortilla chips and bean dip, you can get 8 essential amino acids. So don't be afraid to open that bag of tortilla chips and bean dip. Also needed in our diets are vitamins. Vitamins function as coenzymes that are needed in tiny amounts to aid in metabolic functions. Some animals can synthesize some vitamins. Most mammals can make vitamin C, but primates and humans can't. Humans can synthesize vitamin D if the skin is exposed to sunlight. These next two slides list all the vitamins required by humans. You'd be surprised how many of these you already get in your normal diet. Here are more vitamins that are essential to the human diet. Next, we're going to talk briefly about essential minerals. Some may be needed in large amounts, such as calcium, which is needed in nerve cells, muscles to function, and bones and teeth. Others are needed in small amounts, such as iron, as is needed in hemoglobin. Here's a list of essential minerals that are needed in rather large amounts, such as calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and sodium. And here's a list of essential minerals that are needed in small amounts, such as chromium, cobalt, copper, iodine, iron, magnesium, and zinc. Here's our first progress check. Take your time to answer these two questions and move on with the lecture when ready. Next, we're going to focus on how animals acquire food. Some animals feed by targeting easily visible food. Some examples of this are listed here, such as an osprey catching a fish, a crab crushes a clam shell, or a deer plucks a leaf from a tree. All these food sources are gathered by targeting. Here is a picture of a majestic osprey targeting their food by catching a fish. That poor fish didn't have a chance. Another way some animals collect food is by being a suspension feeder. This is common within aquatic environments. They collect tiny organic particles. Lakes and oceans have a huge amount of organic particles in the form of algae, tiny animals, microscopic organisms, and dead cells. Many animals have evolved ways for filtering these particles from the water. The gray whale on the left and the mussels on the right both exhibit suspension feeding and filter water for organic molecules. Another way animals may get nutrition is through symbiosis. Symbiosis is an intimate, long-term association between two different types of organisms. An example of symbiosis is the clownfish in the sea anemone as seen above. Many animals have evolved symbiosis with microbes that synthesize important nutrients for the animal. Reef-building corals have symbiotic algal cells that live within the coral. The algae cells produce glucose by photosynthesis, which becomes food for the animal cells. If the coral becomes stressed, they may lose its algae cells in what is called bleaching. The animal may deteriorate and die if the algae are not recovered. The diagram on the right shows a coral polyp with green algae found within the gastrodermis layer. Again, this is showing symbiosis. That algae is providing that coral polyp with food. In return, the polyp gives the algae a place to live. Another way that some animals receive nutrition from the food they eat is they developed ruminant type of digestive system. Ruminant mammals, such as cow, sheep, deer, have evolved a complex stomach that consists of 4 chambers. The rumen has a complex microbial community of bacteria, yeast, and fungi that break down the chewed food by fermentation. This allows for the digestion of cellulose, which vertebrates cannot break down by themselves. Here's a picture of a buffalo, which is a ruminant animal. You can see that their stomach has 4 chambers. The rumen area of the stomach is where the microbial community lives and aids in digestion of food. Okay, here's our next progress check. Take your time with these questions. Move on when ready. Next, we're going to take a look at the general overview of the digestive system of animals. Most animals have what is called a tubular gut. This is a digestive system where food enters the mouth and material that is not digested exits through the anus. The digestive tract is lined with epithelial cells. The digestive system has 2 principal functions: digestion and absorption. Digestion is the breakdown of large food molecules by enzymes in the gut, lumen, to produce smaller molecules. Absorption transports these small molecules from the gut to the blood. So we'll see in the next several slides, digestive systems are diverse in their detailed anatomy and physiology. Here's the digestive system of an earthworm. You should have dissected one in lab. Their digestive system can be generalized as one long tube, with the mouth at the beginning and the anus at the end, where the undigested food comes out. In the digestive system of a cockroach, food goes through the mouth and into the cropping gizzard. It moves further into the midgut and then hindgut before coming out the anus. Mammals have accessory organs attached to the digestive system, such as the liver and pancreas. And mammals also have a large and small intestine. These digestive systems need to be able to break down food and absorb the nutrients from the food into the blood. The digestive ability of the animal determines which food has nutritional abilities. For example, humans do not get nutritional value from cellulose. We do not possess the enzyme for cellulose and cannot break it down. It will pass out of our gut along with our feces. Digestive enzymes are specific in the types of chemical bonds they can break. An animal's ability to digest food is strictly determined by the enzyme the animal can produce. For instance, mammals that eat insects have evolved an enzyme to break down the sugar trehalose, which is abundant in insects. Trehalase breaks down trehalose into two glucose molecules. Mammals that do not feed on insects would have no need for this enzyme, do not produce trehalase, and get no nutritional value from insects. The ability to digest lactose varies among human populations. Infants produce lactase, but most populations lose this ability as adults. Cattle-raising tribes in Africa rapidly evolved lactase production in adults. It is estimated that this trait has only appeared 5,000 years ago, which is a relatively short time by geological standards. Northern Europeans also make lactase as adults. This gene in Northern Europe was favored by natural selection because the people there ate large amounts of dairy products. Individual animals can modify digestive enzyme production to adapt to available foods. For instance, if a rat switched from a low-protein diet to a high-protein diet, the digestive tract increases the production of protein digestive enzymes within 24 hours. Here's the last progress check for this chapter. Take your time to answer these questions and let me know if you have any questions about the material. Thank you for listening and have a good rest of your day.